Hi Breindy, thank you very much for uploading your pictures and for labeling everything correctly. I'm just going to read what you wrote for me. Thank you, I am really finding the course insightful. It's our pleasure. For one of the shoots this week I tried an indoor 1 year cake smash with my baby. Okay, I'm not a big fan of the cake smash, but anyway, I try and remember. I try and block those images out of my mind when my kids look like that. Anyway, I liked how the pictures came out, but I'm not sure why they are fuzzy and not as sharp as I would like them to be. I thought I'd focus on the eyes, but for some reason it still seems grainy and not the photography quality I'm looking for. I'd appreciate some help with that, please. Thank you. Okay, we will get there very quickly. However, you have to remember right now that you've just finished the third class, so you're still lacking quite a bit of information. And the answer to your question about the quality of the picture is very simple, and I will explain it to you quickly. But you really have to wait until the fifth class until you'll get really clear on it. Okay, so let's jump in. These are perfect examples, exactly what we were looking for. This is a 1,000th of a second, a 60th of a second, and a 15th of a second. Now, what we need to remember from this, which is very helpful, is that at 1,000th of a second, you can basically freeze a human being running. The quickest a human being can run. 1,000th of a second should basically be adequate. I try and make doubly sure, because there's nothing more annoying than when your picture isn't like perfect. It's just like off, and it could have been, you could fix it so easily. So I try and make sure that my shutter is about 1,250 or even 1,600 if I can get away with that when I'm taking pictures of people running. But to know that at 1,000th of a second it should be okay as well. Okay, so this is great, and now we can see a 60th of a second is not okay. Okay, you cannot freeze a person running, even walking maybe, at a 60th of a second, and definitely, for sure, a 15th of a second is not going to help us. Okay, look back when you get to class 5, really, 4 or 5, but especially 5. Look back at these stats, and you'll understand why this picture is much brighter than this picture and what happened with your camera. I'm assuming, yep, you're in shutter priority. That's what happened. Okay, fine. So just remember to go back and make a note for yourself to go back, and you'll understand why that happened. Okay, excellent. This is an amazing example of getting panning perfect. This must have taken you a lot of tries, or if it didn't, you were very lucky. But this is a great shot. I love that. That really is a great example. It really comes out so well. Excellent. Perfect. You see that because the camera's moved, we've got a background that's moving, but because your subject was moving at the same speed, you've ended up managing to maintain a sharp subject. So the question is, why are the legs blurry? And the reason is that this leg is actually stationary. As he's running, that leg stays there. So you moved because that leg isn't in motion, and this leg is in motion in a different direction that your camera didn't catch. So that answers up all those questions. But that is an excellent example of panning. Good one. Okay, here is your merry-go-round example. Now the problem is your lens is a 50mm lens. Oh no, you could have zoomed out. Could you have zoomed out? I think, yeah, you could have zoomed out. You had a lens. So it would have been better if you had zoomed out. It definitely would have been better if you had zoomed out. You've done okay. It's fine. It's not as good as the panning shot over here, but it brings the idea home a little bit. If you had zoomed out, you would have seen much more of him, and you probably would have got it sharper as well. You're in the third class, so you've already learned that the zoom also makes a difference to how sharp your image is. If you're zoomed in all the way, your camera registers the vibrations more than if you're zoomed out all the way. Okay, so keep that in mind. But this is good. It's a good example. You can see it's not pin sharp. You've moved the scene a little bit, but it's fine to get the point across. Okay, and this is a good example of me in 3, although I'm assuming this isn't you. But this is exactly what you're meant to do. 30 seconds, excellent. And he was able to stay still. It looked like he stayed still here. he was he moved a little bit over there, but that's a great example. If it was a black background, it would be even more profound. It would look even better if you'd managed to get a black background, but I understand that's not always so straightforward. Excellent. Well done. Okay. So now let's, we're going to address your issue that you just spoke about, where you said that the quality of the pictures wasn't what you wanted. The reason is because you were shooting at 6400 ISO. Okay, as your ISO goes up, like I said, we haven't learned about that yet, and you will do. Get to it in the 5th class. But as the ISO goes up, as this number gets higher, the quality of the image degrades. So we can see here, it looks kind of, I think the best word to describe high ISO is icky, in the words of my kids. It just doesn't cut it. You can see it's just not sharp. It's actually technically known as digital noise. Okay, but that is your issue, that you were using a high ISO, but you really needed to use a high ISO because there wasn't a lot of light over here. You were indoors, like you said, and I think there was a window. Yeah, there's a window to the left of us looking at the child. There's a window over here, and there is some kind of light on the right side. It could be a small window, I'm not sure. You can usually tell the lighting snow from the eyes, but there's definitely a large window on this side over here, and some kind of light source over here, but it's still not enough to allow you to use a lower ISO. So the issue here is that there isn't enough light and you're forced into using a high ISO. You could be opening up your aperture again. There's a lot that you haven't learned of yet. Just hold tight, go back to these pictures in a couple more classes, and you'll be like, oh wow, that's so obvious now. It's just, you're just lacking a bit of information, and it's not time for me to explain it all to you right now. It will come in due process of the course. Okay, in regards to what we do understand right now about the picture, generally shooting down on children is not a good idea. There is a time and a place for it, but it's definitely generally better to get very low down, take pictures low down. And I would crop in a little bit closer here. I definitely appreciate how you've dressed your child. And yeah, I think that makes a big difference, getting rid of this extra space along here. You've got a lovely triangle over here. Okay, it's very cute with the beads and all the pinks and stuff. I like the pinks next to the kind of the goldy goldy yellows. The balloons in the background are okay. They add. I'm just wondering if it could be better if it was not overlapping. I don't think it makes such a difference. It's great. In fact, one of the reasons why these balloons make a big difference is that without these balloons, this line in the background would cut the image, so to speak, and would really detract from the viewing pleasure of the picture. Okay, let's go. Okay, now you're lower down. Again, we can see with the 6400, you've got this horrible noise. Okay, you'll learn that for the next time. Here, we could get a little bit, I don't think you need to crop off more from the top, but I think you definitely need a little bit more room at the bottom. Okay, or darken this area, or cut it away. Let's have a look if we crop it even closer. So that, I feel, is slightly better than this crop. Not that I do actually like having the circle of the cake in here. It's just this foot here creates a sticking point for your eye. So our point of entry is your kid's face, and we come down here, and it grazes. That's the way we refer to it. Is it grazes your eye, grazes the edge of the edge of the canvas, which just detracts a little bit from the energies there. Here it's a very different picture. Now it's a picture of your child. Here's a picture of your child and cake. Here the cake becomes very secondary. Okay, good. Okay, it's getting more and more disgusting. That's fine if that's your thing. I'm not into this. But anyway, in regards to the tensions, our point of entry is the eyes. Again, we've still got the same issue with the noise. Okay, let's just look here. Our point of entry is the eyes. This is the noise. Point of entry is the eyes. Now, if you pay attention, you'll see that your baby's body is facing to this way, this side, to our right, and the head is also, her face is also towards the right. So I think to make this just a little bit tighter, we could just get rid of a little bit of room from the left side. Just really just a drop. This is a great shot. Technically wise, again, I'm not into this kind of thing, but technically and graphically, this is wonderful. These beads here add a lot. This reoccurring, the patterns and the reoccurring circles here create a more relaxed feeling, which is great. The look is perfect. You've got good eye contact. Okay, again, you lost out on the ISO, but you'll fix that for next time. Everything's sharp. Excellent. This is really, really good, promising photography. You're gonna, in the next few classes, you're gonna be so excited by what you're doing. Just a couple of little things that you could do here that would just turn this picture from being like a really nice picture into being a fantastic picture. Okay, this is excellent. I love this. This you are now shooting. You're still in manual. Okay, that's okay. There is one thing when people start. I don't know why this is, but it's really without exception when people start getting aware of the concept of being very tight with their space, not leaving extra space. What happens is people always leave too much space on the top and they cut off space at the bottom. So our point of entry is, I'm assuming it's your husband, is his face. Now we move around slightly this way. We move around here. There's also a more prominent line here. So I think it's fair to say that eye goes this way around. Okay, and that's what happens. Now watch what happens here. See? Our eye grazes the edge of the canvas. Now, if you would just left a little bit more room, the eye would be able to move around without grazing the edge of the canvas. Now, you could learn the rule as just don't cut off hands and don't cut off legs and stuff like that, but it's not true. It's not about cutting off hands and legs. You can cut off hands, you can cut off legs. The question is, does your eye move around the frame without grazing the edge of the canvas? So in this case, our eye is moving along this line, which means that it would have been better for him to either have put this hand over here on this hand and created the circle around there like that, or to have just left more room at the bottom, cropped a little bit of room at the top, cropped a little bit of room off at the top, like here. Okay, but really a great picture. I'm really appreciative. You put him in a nice place. We've got good colour in the background. Again, the stats are not great, but you're going to learn about that. That's just a little bit further. Excellent stuff. Okay, this is a great shot. I love the emotion. I love the energy of the kid. You are a little bit overexposed. You're in manual. If you'd shot this in automatic, it'd probably be a bit underexposed. Drop overexposed. We have got, in regards to the sharpness is okay, the focus is okay. See, even at 800 on your camera, no, it's not true. The grain is minimal. That's fine. The problem is that it's a drop overexposed. I think to just be, really, conscious and sensitive of the energies and the directions, would a crop like this I think might be a little bit better, where we're moving in this way. Okay, our point of entry is the eyes, and then we come around here. Okay, another great shot. You've done excellently. In regards to taking a picture into Lightroom, I think because the ISO is low, you know what, I'm going to show you. Well, let's take this one because I'll show you what we can do when there's some extra noise that isn't desirable. It's quite easy to get rid of in Lightroom, kind of, in that although it gets rid of it, it's not really the best thing to do. You should be shooting the lower ISO in the first place. Let's take this into develop. Let's just fit this in. We have under detail, we have noise reduction, luminance. Watch what happens if we go in closer so we can see even closer, so we can see, and we put up the luminance of the noise reduction. Do you see how that, look at the difference. So it softens the whole image generally. But it does make a difference. It really does make a difference. And I think we will also go to our iris enhance. You can use the scrolling mouse to just drop that down, and that just gives us a little bit more energy in the eyes. What would I do this? I very, very rarely do this, but I think in this case I might. And one of the things that I basically never do this, but I'm thinking that a white vignette in this situation might actually be quite nice. Let's see. I never do white vignettes, but I quite like it here. Quite like it. I think what I want to do actually is just soften the whole image a little bit with the clarity. There we go. Drop, and I think I'll put this down a little bit more. So let's just have a look where we went from. Good. Okay, great work. Really, really impressed with your progress, and looking forward to seeing what you do for us next week. Okay, all the best.